Welcome to Spooky Ventures for September 13th, 2019. And that means today is Friday the 13th, so it should be a pretty spooky day for fans of the spooky stuff, at least for those of you who have triskaidekaphobia. Yeah, that's easier to explain what it is than to actually pronounce it for me, apparently. But, that's the fear of the number 13. Apparently it's a pretty common fear, I guess, if they've given it a name. Anyway, on with the spooky news. There's a UFO photo that has been published this week that was filmed over a place called Wigan in England, which I think might be part of London. I don't know. I get pretty confused with all these names of places in England. But I did a little cursory look around, and I think it's actually inside London, but I'm not sure. In any event, it is in the UK. And I'll be sharing the article in the details, and also I'll give you the headline of the article and the source on in this video, and you can go look at the article. They've got a photo of it and a little write-up about it. See the picture that was taken and see what you think. UFOs are out there, obviously, since it's an unidentified flying object, and there are plenty of things in the sky that people can't identify. And literally they talk about that in the article too. So check that out. Have you ever heard the legend of the black-eyed children in Abilene, Texas? It's actually, I recently came across this, by recently in the last couple of years, and it's a pretty fascinating legend. And there's a new article that just came out about it, which will give you a lot more information. And I'm going to be sharing that here. Like I said, the legend's been around for a long time, but this article just surfaced this week. And for anybody interested in getting caught up on the legend, and who knows, maybe if you already know a lot about it, you'll find something new in there. I don't know. I really haven't researched it that much. I've just read a couple articles over the last year or two. But have a look at the article. I'll include in the details and the source here, and you might find something pretty interesting to explore further. So, are you in the market for a home in Australia and you want something that's already decorated for Halloween? Well, there's a home for sale listing, which, if you see the outside pictures of the place, looks perfectly normal. But then, if you start reading the listing and look at the inside pictures of the place, wow, you're in for a spooky treat, because this place is done up all creepy, and that's the way they're selling it. I'll be including the article, and I think it has a link directly to the real estate listing. But for people who are into spooky stuff, me, this is kind of the perfect thing. You can get it, of course it's somebody else's interpretation, but still, well worth having a look at. Looking to more paranormal travel, we seem to be coming back to that week after week. A town in the London area called Mitcham is apparently considered to be quite haunted. There are reports of all things from an old soldier on a road, a cottage with faces in the walls, a drowned boy, and much, much more supposedly haunting this old town. Of course, when you consider if there is such a thing as ghosts, and the longer you have people and the more people in the area, the more likely you are to have ghosts. And London was a town, all the way back in Roman times, and it's a very populated area. So if you're going to have ghosts, it seems like the place to be. So if you get a chance to go check out Mitcham in the UK, enjoy your paranormal travel there. I know there are people out there who are huge fans of the Addams Family, and if you are, you might want to consider taking a trip out to Escondido, California. There's going to be in fact, it's already opened. It opened last Friday. There is a musical version of the Addams Family going to be held at the Walk Theater in that town, and like I said, and if you're out in that area anyway, anywhere near there, and you're a big Addams Family fan, you really, really need to make it. But hey, for some of you guys, it might even be worth a pilgrimage if you're a huge fan, particularly if you also like musical theater. So go check that out if you get the chance. If you're making that trip to California for the Addams Family musical, you might want to also consider the Goosebumps musical, which is going to be at the Chance Theater in Anaheim just about the entire month of October. You'll want to check their website for tickets and see if there's availability and things like that, especially if you're going to make a trip out there for it. Like I say, it's almost the whole month. I'm not going to give the specific dates. There's a premiere, and then there's the actual run. I think it actually does close on the 27th. But in any event, if you want to go see another creepy musical, albeit with a family-friendly sort of edge to it, but I'm guessing that's what the Addams Family has too, then you're going to want to go see that. If you're a fan of the old Creepshow movie, and you're going to be in California anyway, you might want to stop at Universal Studios Hollywood. They're going to have a Creepshow part of their Halloween Horror Nights, and it should be pretty darn cool. You can get inside some of the basically the scenes from the show, and they've recreated all of them in interactive scare sort of venue for you to experience a different way. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area, there's a new exhibition opening called I Love Scary Movies. And it's going to be running in the HD Buttercup building. And it's going to be running from September 20th till November 17th. Now, I guess there was an initial run a few months ago in a different location, but in any event, it's described as walking through a lot of horror films and horror film scenes, which sounds like something that ought to get a lot of people in for the Halloween time. So, like I say, if you're going to be in Los Angeles, and that sounds like something well worth checking out. With the spooky season upon us, there are a lot of ghost walks and ghost tours coming up, and I thought about doing separate little bits about each one, but literally, it just isn't viable. These news bits would be hours long because there are just so many coming up. So what I'm going to try to do is, as they come throughout the week, I'm just going to add the links into the details section, and then I'm going to also try to get them all added to our calendar. But beyond that, just keep your eyes open, and if there are some near me, I'm probably going to play favorites and put those out there, or if there are ones where I know the people who are hosting it, or I've got some specific connection. Hey, I'm going to play favorites on this, just because I can. And please forgive my indulgence on that, but it's just going to be so hard to even try to keep up with all of these things. There are just so many coming up. So keep that in mind, and keep looking at our calendar. I'm going to be updating that right before I post this video, and then I'm going to keep trying to update it throughout the season as more of these things show up. And like I say, each week I'll just be doing a section like this, explaining what we're doing, and I'll include all the links in the details section, so you can check those out for yourself and see if there's something near you. I'm betting, if you're in most places, there's going to be something near you, because these things are going to be, so common. It's just that time of year now. Seems this is the time of year everybody gets into the whole spooky thing, and hey, we're doing it all year round over here at Spooky Ventures. But Build-A-Bear is jumping on with a Nightmare Before Christmas edition of their Build-A-Bear products. So you can get to their website and have a look around and see if some of those are up your alley. I know a lot of people collect Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, and so that might be something worth looking into and perhaps adding to your collection. So, you want to get into some ghost hunting? Well, apparently there's a new device on Amazon that claims that it can tell you when there are ghosts in the area. It's a purple stone looking thing, and according to the people who make it, if there's a ghost nearby, it'll turn red. Now, nobody's saying if it actually works or not, but you can check out the article and the details of the video, and I'll include a little source information right here in the video itself. So I guess red means dead beings. This is the season to start digging on some spooky music, and you might want to look into a band called Dead Posey. they have a new EP out, and they're all about stories about Ouija boards and things like that. All kinds of spooky stuff. A new article showed up on Bloody Disgusting that included an interview with the band, and I'll see if I can find some videos to add to our playlist, and perhaps have one of those on our Spooky Ventures page the day this video debuts. With the season to scare upon us, a lot of articles are coming out about spooky things, and Kerrang online has posted a listing of 14 songs that are scary that aren't heavy metal. Just kind of, appropriate way of looking at it, in that heavy metal tends to be what's associated more than anything with scary music, at least in terms of rock music and, popular music. A lot of classical music can come across really creepy, especially when paired with movie bits. But I will be posting the link to that article, and I'll be adding some of the songs, perhaps all of them, to our YouTube playlist. So you will get a chance to experience some of these songs for yourself. In case you missed it, there's a new trailer released for the remake of Black Christmas. That movie, the original movie, came out in '74, and it's sort of a cult classic. And there's a new film version due out this fall, and the trailer has been released online, so you can have a look at that and see if it looks like an interesting movie. It definitely looks a lot different than the original, but we'll see what happens with that. I'm guessing that a lot of you guys have probably figured out I'm a big fan of the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and his story Color Out of Space has been adapted into a movie starring Nicolas Cage, and it's just had an opening screening at a convention, and I'm not quite sure where or when it's going to be released for the public, but there have been some still images put out there. I've yet to see an actual trailer, I don't think. But in any event, I'm really looking forward to seeing that movie. I read one review of it which said it was pretty psychotic, which, if you've read the story, kind of makes sense. The story is pretty trippy in and of itself. It's arguably one of Lovecraft's creepiest stories, and given some of his other work, that really says a lot. So keep an eye out for Color Out of Space. I reported last week that It Chapter 2, based on pre-sales, looked like it may very well become the biggest horror movie opening of all time. Well, it landed in second place behind the first chapter of it, which was released, recently. And there are a lot of factors that probably contributed to it. It got some less than stellar reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and also Hurricane Dorian probably kept a lot of people out of the theaters. So it came in respectable second place, given all that other stuff around it, and that's pretty potent stuff. then, like I say, it only did worse than the first movie in the series, so you really can't argue with that. If you've seen any of the side by side images from the original Shining and the new sequel, Doctor Sleep, you'll see they look very, very, very close to each other. In fact, I had seen a lot of the bits, and I actually thought they were taken from the original film when in fact they're from the new movie. Well, there's apparently a reason for that. The new movie, the sets were apparently recreated from the original blueprints for the sets for The Shining. So it's no accident that it looks that much like it. So you say you like Lovecraftian horror, and you also like video games? Well, there's a game coming next year that should be of interest. It's called Cthulhu, Book of Ancients, and it's coming out for video game systems. And there's a trailer that's been released now, which you can check out and see what the game looks like. As I mentioned, I'm a big Lovecraft fan, and I would definitely be interested in checking that game out. I know there are a lot of fans of Dark Shadows out there, and as a kid, I loved that show. I would come home and watch it, and I was a big fan of Barnabas Collins, played by Jonathan Frid, and collected all kinds of stuff. Well, you know, as much as a little kid can do. And there's going to be a new version out there. They're doing a resurrection. It's a sequel, actually, is what it is. It's not a revival. It's not a resurrection of the show. It's not a remake. It's a sequel, and it's going to be airing on the CW. Now they just basically finalized the deal, so they haven't started filming yet. Obviously, there are no release dates out there. You know, one of my things with the CW's horror, or I mean superhero movies, one of my biggest problems with it is that they're too superhero-like, or not too superhero-like. Sorry, too soap opera-ish for my taste. But that's exactly perfect for Dark Shadow since it was a creepy soap opera. So I'm kind of anxious to see what happens with this. It could be pretty interesting. There are three horror movies opening today. There's a movie called Depraved, one called Freaks, and one called Haunt. Now, I've seen some trailers for Haunt. It looks pretty crazy. I haven't seen anything to do with the other ones, but keep an eye out for your movie listings and see if you can find where those things are playing. But they all are scheduled to open today, so check those out if you can. And that's a wrap for this week's edition of Spooky News. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition, and keep an eye on our Spooky Ventures YouTube channel. We're trying to add one video a day for the rest of the time leading up until Halloween at least. a lot of old radio shows, audio books, things like that. We're still hoping to get some more interviews in and maybe some other cool stuff. So keep an eye on that. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.